best known as a tropical.
This shows the wickedness of Benjamin, and there's a prophecy of Benjamin going back to Genesis chapter 49 and 27, and it says he shall raven as a wolf. That was prophesied by our forefather Jacob concerning his son Benjamin and his posterity. I'll start off with that, but before I get started, I just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of GMS that do rule well and that do teach well and that have taught me this truth. To you I say Shalom, and Shalom unto the hopeful elect. Lord willing, this will be edified and thought-provoking in the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Shai. So the article that you see here on the screen, it says, from tourism to terror, the Caribbean island torn apart by gangs and guns. Holiday makers once flocked to laid-back Trinidad, but islanders now find themselves caught in the crossfire of armed warfare. Them islanders is going into the locals that actually live there. A lot of locals are getting held up and terrorized by the gangs. And you Benjamites, you're the face of it, which you Benjamites consist of you so-called West Indians. And you predominantly dwell in the Caribbean islands. You go back to the tribe of Benjamin, which is a tribe that comes out of the nation of Israel. And it makes sense why all this information is coming out now, going into the wickedness of Benjamin, because we're in the last days. Jeremiah 5 and 26, it says, for among my people are found wicked men. And they lay snares for these four men, which means they're going to be choosing victims to prey upon. And that's exactly what's going on over here in the islands. A lot of people are just losing their humanity. I'm talking about innocent people who are just living their lives. They're losing their humanity to the gun and gang culture that's in Trinidad. Now, Trinidad, man, crime has been bad for a very long time now. I remember even going back 10 years, because I had a cousin die due to the crime blitz that took place 10 years ago. There was a crime blitz. That was back, I think it was either 2014 or 2015, but I had a cousin. He was trying to beat the curfew, so he was rushing to get home, and then because of that, he ended up getting into a serious car accident. He ended up dying. So back then, the government, they enforced this curfew because of the crime blitz, because crime was just so bad. Like the guns and gang culture was just so bad. Like people were just killing each other left and right. So they had to enforce martial law, and that's why my cousin lost his life, because of that. But he got judged, obviously. Scripture says whoever perished being innocent. We know that. But if there was no curfew set in place, he probably would have been living. Just saying. Speaking as a man in the flesh, his time was to go in the spirit. It was his time, but still, I'm just talking. But yeah, it's been a problem for a long time now. It's been a problem. Now, I want to start off with Genesis 49. This is Genesis chapter 49, going into the prophecy of Benjamin. And for the most part, it's a good prophecy. It's a good prophecy, but I'm going to show you how it looks on the left-hand side. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna contrast it. So this is Genesis chapter 49, verse 27 here. It says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. Beautiful. All right. So yeah, Benjamin and his posterity are gonna be a warlike tribe. They're gonna be very strong and daring. And this is the type of tribe that is going to enrich themselves with the spoils of their enemies. That it's going to be to the point that they're going to be very active and busy in the world. They're going to make a statement. And they're the type of tribe that is going to be feared by their neighbors, even by their brothers, man. Even by the different tribes. And we've seen that in Scripture. we've seen how Benjamin can get down, like especially key important figures that are in the Bible, going into certain prophets, certain judges, and leaders, how they were very powerful, and they came out of the tribe of Benjamin. You're going to see that. Now, just to give an example of that, let's get Judges chapter 3. I'm going to go into the account of Ehud. Ehud was left-handed. He was a man of war, and he was a judge, and he was very warlike. He was very strong and very daring. He was the one that killed Eglon, the Moabite king. That man was very bold, man. Very bold. And he was righteous too. So this is Judges chapter 3, verse, I think it's 15. Yeah. Ehud delivers from Moab. Judges chapter 3, verse 15. But when the children of Yashala cried unto Yahweh, Yahweh raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed. Okay, and keep that in mind, left-handed. That means they're good at war too. Left-handed. And by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges of a cubit length, and he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bare the present. But he himself turned again from the queries that were by Gilgal, and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king, who said, keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud, or Ahawad, that's his name, Ahawad, when you pronounce it in the Paleo, came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor which he had for himself alone, and he had said, I have a message from the Most High unto thee. And he arose out of his seat, and Ahawad put forth his left hand, and took the dagger from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. And the half also went in after the blade, and the fat closed up the blade, so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly, and the dirt came out. You see, so that's what he did. And that's why when you go into the prophecy that we read, Genesis 49 and 27, that's actually going into how the posterity of Benjamin is going to be very warlike, very strong, very daring, and they're going to enrich themselves with the spoils of their enemies. And that's exactly what Ehud did. And while he was doing this, he brought forth righteousness. But now that's twisted upside down. Yes, you still have a remnant, which is a part of the elect. They're going to be like that too. Don't get me wrong. But it's going to be more spiritual. They're going to be spiritual warriors. And they're going to be the type of men that are going to be on the highways and byways. But collectively, it's twisted upside down. You have a lot of Benjamites being warlike and strong and daring and enriching themselves in the spoils of their enemies while being in the gang and gun culture. That's what they're doing right now. And that's wicked. And you're seeing that take place. So I want to read, I'm going to go back into the scriptures because I want to bring out Judges. I think I have another precept. I want to bring out, I want to bring out Judges 20 and 16 because it goes into Benjamin. Actually, no, I'll bring that out first. I got so much precepts to bring out. I'm going to just bring it out before I go into the article. So this is Judges chapter 20, verse 16 here. And it says, among all this people, there were 700 chosen men, left-handed. Every one could sling stones at an hair breadth and not miss. And the men of Israel beside Benjamin were numbered 400,000 men that drew swords. All these were men of war. Actually, I should have started at 15, but it's going into Benjamin. And you see how they're left-handed, and everyone can sling stones. And that's how Benjamin gets down. When you go into the islands, Benjamin is known for slinging stones. They got a powerful left and right hand when it comes to throwing stones. And that's very spiritual. That's very ancient. And that goes deep because it's spiritual. They're known for casting stones, man. And a lot of you Benjamites, man, you're good at baseball too. You got a nice fastball, man. I knew a lot of Benjamites growing up. They had a wicked fastball, 80 to 90 mile per hour fastball, man. But Benjamin don't play. But yes, this shows that they're very warlike. And that's you Benjamites. That's how you get down. You're that raven wolf or ravening wolf that likes to howl, man. And you'll divide the spoils. And you do that in righteousness, but right now you're doing it in wickedness. You're warring in wickedness. All right, so let me move on, man. Actually, no, let me get another precept. Let me get Jeremiah 5:26, because among my people are found wicked men, and that's true, and that's among all the tribes of Israel, especially Benjamin. Benjamin is very wicked right now. So Jeremiah chapter 5 verse 26, for among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that setteth snares. They set a trap, they catch men. True. And I'll read in the NLT. It says, among my people are wicked men who lie in wait for victims, like a hunter hiding in a blind. They continually set traps to catch people. That's true. And in the article, it's going to go into that. Because a lot of islanders, which are the locals, they're getting caught between the crossfire between the gangs. And also, the gangs, they're just attacking the locals, man. A lot of them are impersonating police officers and raiding homes. And these are people who are not affiliated with the gang life. They're just doing it for fun. A lot of them. And a lot of people are losing their lives, man. And it's a real issue. It's a problem. But that's Benjamin, man. They're a very warlike tribe. They're strong and very fucking daring. Now, I just want to talk about some other key figures in the Bible. Here you have the Apostle Paul. Right? He's a Benjamite. You know, he did a lot of great works. He was very warlike in the spirit. He was very strong in the spirit and very daring in the spirit. And he did a lot of very good works. You know, and he was about dividing the spoils among his brethren. You know, he made a lot of letters going out to the different churches about paying tithes and doing certain things, you know, being more brotherly in the spirit. So that was a Benjamite that did that. Also, when you go back to Esther and Mordecai, man. Esther and Mordecai. Hey, Esther and Mordecai, they were very warlike in the spirit. The things they had to go through during the time of Xerxes, you know, going up against Haman and things of that nature. They had to fight, man. So they were very strong and daring and warlike in the spirit. And they did everything for the nation, man. Especially Esther. She sacrificed everything for Yahweh Shem Yoshai and the nation. Same as Mordecai, man. So I just got to put that out there. Also, going to King Saul. King Saul was the first king over the nation of Israel, right? But even when he was ruling, he was always going to war. I think it was 7 years of war, I believe. I'm kind of sketchy on the dates, but I know he brought a lot of war. He was always at war, especially with the Philistines. But yeah, even him. So yeah, King Saul was a real wolf, man, a real wolf. Anyways, so let me just go into let's go into the article here. Now I'm gonna start from, where do I want to start? I'm gonna start here. The Armenia killings, though, were almost 2 years ago, since when it has sunk further still. Last year, Trinidad and Tobago, a nation of 1.5 million, saw a record 623 murders, nearly half of them gang-related. The island's health security is being undermined, not by disease or poverty, but by bullets. So you see, 623 murders. Wow, that's a lot of murders, man. And they have a population of 1.5 million. That's insane. That ain't right. So it says the number of killings is more than 5 times higher than 30 years ago, when Trinidad still enjoyed a reputation as one of the Caribbean's most tranquil tourist-friendly corners. Today, the murder rate has overtaken Jamaica's and is second in the Caribbean, only to Haiti, where gangs have ruled the streets since the assassination of its president in 2021. And Jamaica is another Caribbean island. And yes, you Benjamites dwell there too. My father is from Jamaica, and my mother's from Trinidad. And I went to Trinidad. Trinidad is a very beautiful place. Very beautiful. It's like a paradise, man. You can just walk up to certain trees and just pick the fruits off of it and eat it, man. And it's beautiful. It feels so nice. It's a nice experience. You got the sun beating down on your head. Nice tropical weather. You got the beaches. And you feel free. You feel freer than you do over here. Everything you got, everything here you have to pay for, man. You gotta go to a store, you gotta go to Esau, you gotta get everything. Like, you can just grow things over there. It's just a nice experience. But now you can't even travel there now. It's so bad. It's so bad. And yeah, that crime is a bitch. I had a cousin, man, that died about 10 years ago because of the crime blitz that was going on. He wasn't affiliated with these gangs, but he was trying to beat the curfew getting home, because back then during that crime blitz, it was about 10 years ago, the government enforced a curfew, which was like a form of martial law. You had to be home at a certain time because there was so much crime. So he was rushing to get home, and he ended up getting into a serious car crash, and he ended up losing his life. But yeah, that's serious. But anyways, yeah, crime has been there for a very long time now, and it's only getting worse. So it says, today the murder rate has overtaken Jamaica's and is second in the Caribbean only to Haiti. And Haiti is the home of you Levites. You Levites, man, you so-called Haitians, you're Levites, and you go back to the priesthood. And that's another can of worms, man. The reason why you Haitians are catching hell is because you go back to the priesthood. And you dabbled into a lot of voodoo, liberating yourselves, going into the history of Haiti when you were fighting against the French. You dabbled into that witchcraft and voodoo, and that's forbidden. And that's why you're paying for that right now. That's why you Haitians, man, you're eating mud cakes. That's why warlords are ruling over you. That's why there's anarchy. Hey, you have to pay, man. Hey, that's all from Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai. And plus, that's the curses. So you have to pay. So it says, where gangs have ruled the streets since the assassination of its president in 2021, thugs no longer confine themselves in nighttime hits in rundown areas. Brazen shootings in broad daylight in downtown Trinidad locations are commonplace, leading the government to impose a state of emergency for the first 4 months of this year. Reports of armed robberies and home invasions fill the local paper, the Trinidad Daily Express, which keeps a running murder toll. An island long famed for its nightlife and street parties now goes to bed early. Now you can't stay out beyond 9 p.m. because you're worried about a stick-up or getting robbed, says Rajesh Ali, 22, whose own home was raided by robbers just as police 2 years ago. Crime affects everyone's daily lives. There you go. And yes, Rajesh Ali, so you know he's Elam or Ishmael. You have a lot of heathens in Trinidad, and they're living good, man. A lot of them are very rich. They're over Jake. And that's how it's going to be. That's the curses. How you're not going to be the head, you're going to be the tail. And these nations, when they come into your country, they're going to come up higher than you. Hey, man, you Benjamites from Trinidad, you've been there for a very long time. Oh, and don't even go into the history about the indigenous people that once lived on the island. They're actually extinct now. They have no more. The indigenous people are actually no more. Well, you do have remnants of them because you have their seed mingled among different people, but the Northern Kingdom was there at one point, and they got their land taken away. And that's the curses. I just thought I'd mention that. But anyways, I'm rambling now. I want to go into some precepts. Let me get Ecclesiasticus Sirach, chapter 39. And I'm going to start at the 26th verse, it says, "The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil, and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil." You see, and I'm gonna use iron, man. Our people, starting with Benjamin, especially you Trinidadian Benjamites, you're using the iron the wrong way, because the iron that you hold now is the gun, right? The iron, the steel, you're using that to oppress your own people and to murder people. So this precept is on point. These things, these are the things that men are supposed to use. These are the principal things. These are supposed to be used for righteousness, but our people are using it for wickedness. And now that they have the modern day gun, which is the iron, they're using that to commit crimes. They're not using that to defend themselves. They're using that to oppress people and to do wickedness. And now they want clothing. Now they want the expensive Gucci clothing. They want the designer clothes. So they go out there and they rob and steal for it. Right? They want that milk and honey. They want to have all those things. So now what do? They go out there and then they rob and oppress people for it. Now I'm going to read verse 28. It says, "There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of the destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them." And that's why these spirits are going to come upon you Benjamites real soon. These different spirits of vengeance. And yes, those spirits of vengeance, they're going to lay sore strokes on you in weird ways. They're going to come in the form of different spirits. And it goes on to say, "Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts, scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction." And that's what's going to happen to you. A lot of you Benjamites, you're going to lose your lives. And that main spirit, which is that fire, is going to come to your island. This is Revelation chapter 6, verse 15. I'm going to start here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start at verse 13. "And the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind." Yes, and this is going into the nuclear destruction. The stars of heaven fell onto the earth. That's the ICBM missiles. So that's intercontinental ballistic missiles and hypersonic missiles, okay? And they're going to bring forth a shaking wind, which is a destroying wind, thermonuclear heat. Verse 14, "And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places." You see that? You notice it said islands. And that's going into them Caribbean islands. Hey, the Lord's going to judge Benjamin where you dwell. You see them little islands, man? They're going to be cracked in two. They're going to be swallowed up when them ICBMs drop, man. They're going to be moved out of place and split in half, because those islands, man, are very wicked. And a lot of you Benjamites, man, you're caught up into Obeah too. A lot of them gangs, them gang leaders, them gang members, and gang bangers, they're doing voodoo and witchcraft. Now, and don't even get me started with the biggest gang, which is the police. Hey, in order for you to be a cop over there, you have to be a Mason, man. Or you have to be rubbing shoulders with a Mason. A Mason is a Luciferian. And that's why that place is going to get judged too. Them islands, man. A lot of you Benjamites over there that are in the police force or involved with government, you guys are Masonic, man. You guys are Masonic. Which shows you made a covenant with death. Okay, so you made a covenant with death, so now death is going to come your way. And that's going to happen in the future. Verse 15, "And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb." The wrath of the Lamb. And that's talking about Yahushua. Yahushua coming back with the angels. And that's who these elite men are hiding from. And they're going to go into their bunkers and hide. And they're going to avoid the destruction. But they're really hiding from the Lord, Yahweh Shai. And the Lord is going to dig them up. That's pursuant to the book of Jeremiah. I think it's 16 and 15, or 15 and 16. It talks about how we're going to become hunters in that day. Yeah, we're going to be hunting down you wicked men. We're going to be hunting you down and throwing you into slavery, man, and beating you up. Verse 17, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Let me see if I can find that in Jeremiah. Jeremiah, I think it's 15 and 16. I always get this one mixed up, man. Yeah, so it's 16 and 15, my fault. So Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 16. It says, behold, I will send for many fishers, saith Yahweh, and they shall fish them, and after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks. You see that? Going into your bunkers, man. And we're going to be doing that with Yahweh Shai. Right now, we're fishing. You know how we're fishing? We're doing the work. And what's the bait? The scriptures, the Bible, the word of the Lord. Right now, we're fishing for members of the elect. We're calling them into this thing through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai. But that's going to change real soon. Lord is going to raise us up into hunters. I'm going to take you devils down, man. But yes, the main point was made already, going back to Revelation 6, about how those islands are going to be destroyed. Hey, that includes you Caribbean islands where you Benjamites are at. Hey, you Benjamites need to get judged, man. You Benjamites are fucking wicked. And I know that because I am a Benjamite, man. I see what you Benjamites do. Okay? My father's a Benjamite, my mother's a Benjamite. So-called anyway. So anyways, with that, just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of GMS that do rule well and that do teach well, that have taught me this truth. To you I say shalom, and shalom unto the hopeful elect. Shalom.